Philip Rossman-Reich, Orlando Magic Daily.
Hey, Coach. I know you've said throughout that you talk with the medical staff a lot about how many minutes players can play or whether they'll be available. Without obviously going into too much detail, what kind of factors go into those conversations? What kind of factors go into deciding how long guys play and what workload they can take?
Yeah, I'll answer in a minute. I want to start today. I think many of you know that our Coaches Association in our fight for racial justice have been working closely with Brian Stevenson, who's the founder and executive director of the Equal Justice Initiative. And he's forwarded to us a history of racial injustice calendar, which we've all been looking at, reading, and actually talking quite a bit about it. I wanted to share this one from today. August 2nd, 1900, the state of North Carolina legislature approved the constitutional amendment that required residents to pass a literacy test in order to vote, which greatly impacted, the Black population that was eligible to vote in that state. Along with it, they added a provision that if you had a relative who had voted before 1863, then the provision excluded you, so you wouldn't be able to vote. And what that did was, for a lot of the white people who were illiterate, uneducated in the state, it allowed them to vote. And when you go through this, he said it's a lot of literature. It's an example of, in the southern states, for generations, the type of laws that were passed in all of the states that disenfranchised Black people from voting, and it lasted all the way up until the Voting Rights Act in 1965. If you get a chance, I would urge you to pull the calendar. There's something historical of every day, and it's educational, and it's eye-opening, and it's frankly scary. In terms of the minutes, when I talk to David and Lindsay, it's conditioning. A lot of it is feedback from the players. And then the other thing is they have a background in everything from movement. Lindsay has a medical background. So they talk about things like gait. He wasn't as explosive. They know also they have data on some guys have muscle imbalance. So like, for instance, when you play back to back and there's fatigue, that adds to more likelihood of injury. And so they take all those factors into consideration. David never comes into a meeting without data. And I know, for instance, that of the guys on our roster, the guy who's proven he can handle more minutes is Vooch. And I know the guys that in the past have been able to play back-to-backs, guys that haven't. We have some guys on our team that, like in stretches like this, for their careers, their level of play stays the same. For others, it goes down. So it's a big help to me. And believe me when I tell you that obviously you're playing the odds, but they're educated assessments, and they're very helpful.
Roy Perry, Orlando Sentinel.
Hey, Steve. Obviously, when you face the Kings, De'Aaron Fox is a big part of your focus. But when you guys played them early in the year, they did not have Bogdanovich. And, I'm sure you watched the game yesterday and he made those 6 3-pointers. What ways has he changed the dynamics of their offense? And what are some ways that you'll look to, try to slow him down a little bit?
Oh, great skill, and he scores in a lot of different ways. He can play in a pick and roll. He can put the ball on the floor and drive it. He can play off staggered screens, single screens, and he's high IQ with deep range. So they have lineups out there with, for instance, Fox, Heel, Bogdanovich, where that, even for our league, is a incredible amount of skill and shot making on the floor. So, we're going to have to do a good job with our matchups. And again, he's got a lot of different ways he can score.
Dan Savage, OrlandoMagic.com.
Cliff, we saw that Wes was cleared and available to play. When Wes is at his best for you guys, what does he do on the court?
I think he brings energy. He plays very intelligently, and he keeps the game simple. And the guys like to play with him. You could go through stretches. It's not easy to have the role role that he has where, sometimes we'll go 2 weeks where he gets to play a lot every night, and then it may go another week or so where, everybody's back and he doesn't get to play. And that's not an easy thing to do. He keeps himself ready, and you can go back. It's been proven. We've always played well when he gets a chance to play for stretches of time.
Josh Robbins, The Athletic.
Steve, how will you start today's game?
Same way.
Anything else, Josh?
No.
Okay, Eric Wilson, 1070.
Coach, was there one aspect of the game that you guys are going to focus on today going up against Sacramento?
Yeah, the first thing has to start with just getting your defense set. When Fox is on the floor for the year, they're the #1 fast break team in terms of efficiency in the NBA. He's John Wall. He's a one-man break, misses, makes, turnovers. When he's got the ball, if everybody's not back, he can crack a seam and get to the rim as well as anybody in our game. And it starts with that. To have a chance to slow them down, we have to get back in transition.
Philip Rossman-Wright.
Kind of on that same note. What is Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz's availability? Are they going to be able to play a little bit more, about the same minutes as the last game?
Jonathan is the same. Markelle is a little bit more, not a lot more, but a little bit more.
Anything else for Cliff? Okay, Josh, one more for Josh Robbins.
What sense do you have as to how close Markelle is to being able to play enough minutes to return to the starting lineup?
Oh, it'll be a while still. I mean, especially with the back-to-back coming up, it's again, this stretch is, Josh, I mean, it's because what you have to do is do the things with knowing that we're playing so many games in a row. So that's why we're being careful. And he's not going to be able to jump from, 18 minutes to 28 in like 2 days. So it's a work in progress.
Thank you.
Everybody good? Okay, thank you guys. Thanks, Cliff.